Not sure if you've heard of this before, but did you know that the government is so desperate to ban some guns that they'd even go after models the average Joe couldn't care less about? Most of these guns are no different than the typical MSR you find in your friendly neighborhood gun store, but they still get called out by name in assault weapons ban proposals like HR 1808 and more recently HR 8600. Welcome back to Bolt vs. Lever. Today we're diving into the 8 guns in particular that the government doesn't want you to own. Real quick, if you love these types of content, please consider subscribing to our channel and clicking on the like button. Your support means a lot to us. And without further ado, number 8. Zenith ZF-5. The Zenith ZF-5 is a semi-automatic civilian homage to the highly respected MP5, crafted by Heckler & Koch, a titan of the SMG world. Since the 1960s, the MP5 roller-delayed blowback system and pinpoint accuracy have made it a trusted companion for military and law enforcement units globally. It's been a part of countless counter-terrorism operations and urban warfare, revered for its compact design and remarkable reliability in high-stakes scenarios. There's no doubt the MP5 is a masterpiece of engineering, though personally, I don't see why it's so appealing. I mean, it's only chambered in pistol calibers. It's got nothing on my Ruger Mini 14. But going back to the topic, the Zenith ZF-5 tries hard to replicate the MP5's aura, but is ultimately a knockoff. It looks the part, but the soul is missing. Sure, it has the same roller-delayed blowback system and a nearly identical profile, but let's be honest, any semi-auto MP5 is comparable to a sports car with an average everyday 4-cylinder engine. It's slow, boring, and it simply doesn't pack the power that made the MP5 legendary. For $1,750, you would expect something exceptional, but the ZF-5 is a one-trick pony. Flashy aesthetics without the bite to match. And when you stack it against other semi-automatic 9mm carbines, the ZF-5 struggles to even justify its price tag. Options like the CZ Scorpion EV03 or the Ruger PC carbine offer superior performance and versatility at half the cost. Those alternatives can deliver comparable shooting experiences without bleeding your wallet dry. The ZF-5 might be a status symbol for MP5 fans, but practical? Not so much. Yet somehow, anti-gun politicians have placed this overpriced clone in their crosshairs. Why do you think that is? Number 7. Springfield Hellion. The Springfield Hellion, Springfield Armory's ambitious attempt at a bullpup rifle, is rooted in the Croatian VHS-2, a weapon developed for the Croatian military with a focus on rugged reliability and adaptability. The VHS-2 has proven its worth in modern combat, with its compact design allowing soldiers to maneuver effectively in tight spaces without sacrificing accuracy. As a military tool, the VHS-2 is a solid piece of engineering, capable of thriving in harsh environments. Now let's talk about the Hellion, the civilian version that tries to borrow some of that military mystique, but ends up feeling more like a cheap cosplay. Yes, it keeps the same futuristic bullpup aesthetics, but dig a little deeper and you'll see why the Hellion doesn't quite live up to the VHS-2's reputation. The trigger, for starters, has drawn significant criticism for being clunky and unresponsive, something that can make even basic range days feel like a chore. And let's not forget that it's semi-automatic only, no select fire options here, which takes away the versatility that makes its military counterpart shine. At around $2,000, the Hellion is priced as if it's a premium product, but what you're getting doesn't justify the expense. For that kind of money, you could snag a reliable AR-15 platform like the Daniel Defense DD-M4 or a LWRCI D1 and still have cash left over for some decent optics. The Hellion might have a flashy design, but when it comes to performance per dollar, it falls flat. And yet, in their infinite wisdom, anti-gun politicians have decided to add the Hellion to their assault weapon ban wish list. Maybe because it looks intimidating? Never mind that it's a semi-automatic with no significant advantage over countless other semi-autos. Number 6. Knight's Armament SR-15. The Knight's Armament SR-15 is another neutered take on the most popular sporting rifle in the US, the AR-15, which has its origins in the iconic M16 rifle, a trusted workhorse of the US military for decades. The M16 and many of its variants were designed for adaptability, reliability, and effectiveness. These rifles were so good, they became the backbone of armed forces in the US, and not just in the US, but all over the world. It thrived in diverse environments, like the jungles of Vietnam and the deserts of Iraq. Its modular design and lightweight construction allowed soldiers to customize the weapons for various combat scenarios. Truly, the M16 has become an indispensable tool on the battlefield. The SR-15 by Knight's Armament, by comparison, is just another overpriced AR-15, with prices in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. It's definitely a splurge compared to any standard AR-15. Granted, it has top-notch craftsmanship, unique components, and a solid reputation. But let's be real, for a lot of shooters, it's hard to justify dropping that kind of cash when there are plenty of other high-quality rifles out there that won't break the bank. Daniel Defense's DD-M4 V7 or Bravo Company's Reese 16 are also built tough, super accurate, and customizable, all for around $1,500 to $1,800. They deliver premium features without the luxury price tag, which makes them really popular for most buyers. Still, the SR-15 hasn't avoided the crosshairs of anti-gun lawmakers. That's despite the fact that most people wouldn't bother with it. Number 5. Kalashnikov USA KS-12. No assault weapons ban list would be complete without a Kalashnikov-type firearm. So let's talk about the KS-12, a semi-auto shotgun inspired by the Russian Saiga 12, a gun that borrowed design elements from the legendary Automat Kalashnikov 47. The Saiga 12 became a favorite among military and law enforcement agencies worldwide due to its rugged reliability, versatility, and adaptability. Whether it was used in close-quarters combat or tactical operations, the Saiga 12 delivered on all fronts with its detachable box and drum magazines, offering impressive firepower in a scattergun platform. After import bans restricted the Saiga 12's availability in the US, Kalashnikov USA stepped in with the KS-12. While the KS-12 retains the AK-inspired aesthetic and functionality, it's ultimately just another watered-down Kalashnikov-style shotgun. Users have reported issues with reliability, particularly when cycling low-pressure ammunition, making the KS-12 less versatile than the original Saiga. Additionally, the absence of a manual bolt hold-open feature, standard on the Saiga 12, makes reloading less intuitive and more cumbersome. At around $900, the KS-12 is hardly a budget option, especially when you consider alternatives like the Mossberg 930 or Remington 870. Both are reliable semi-automatic shotguns with proven track records, available at significantly lower price points. For shotgunners in the know, the KS-12 feels like a gimmick, a model marketed for its AK pedigree rather than its real-world utility. And yet, despite its shortcomings and niche appeal, the anti-gun politicians love to include the KS-12 in their assault weapon ban list. Number 4. Steyr AUG. The Steyr AUG. If you were born in the 80s and played a few games of Counter-Strike with your best buds back in the day, you know how iconic this gun silhouette alone can be. The AUG is the epitome of military innovation, having earned its stripes as one of the most iconic bullpup rifles in history. First introduced in the late 1970s, this Austrian masterpiece quickly became a staple in military arsenals worldwide. Its futuristic design was ahead of its time, combining a compact frame with a full-length barrel, ensuring maneuverability without sacrificing accuracy. The AUG's modular system allows soldiers to switch barrels in seconds, making it versatile for roles ranging from close-quarters combat to long-range engagements. Military forces in over 20 countries, including Australia and Ireland, swear by its reliability and adaptability in combat scenarios. But for civilians, the Steyr AUG, particularly the A3M1 model, is a diluted version of its battle-hardened counterpart. Gone is the select fire capability that made the military AUG a game-changer. Instead, you're left with a semi-automatic rifle that's more about aesthetics than actual battlefield utility. The integrated optics on civilian models, while functional, pale in comparison to the advanced systems used by professional soldiers. Add in a price tag of around $2,000, and the AUG is more like a luxury item than a practical tool for the average law-abiding gun owner in America. When stacked up against competitors like the Ruger AR-556 or Smith & Wesson M&P 15, the AUG's appeal diminishes. Both alternatives offer customization, lighter weights, and similar performance for a fraction of the cost. Sure, the AUG looks cool, but are you really getting your money's worth? Most enthusiasts would say no. Despite its limited practicality for the average American, anti-gun politicians have targeted the AUG in their assault weapon ban proposals. The reason? Its military heritage and sleek design scream scary to lawmakers who prioritize optics over substance. Focusing on banning a rifle like the AUG, which is practically just a collector's piece, shows how shallow their knowledge is of guns. Number 3. LWRCI ICDI. This is just one of the many civilian versions of the M14 carbine, a rifle synonymous with modern military operations. The M4 is a staple of the U.S. Armed Forces, admired for its adaptability, durability, and performance under pressure. From urban warfare in Iraq to long-range engagements in Afghanistan, the M4 has been a trusted companion to soldiers worldwide, offering versatility and effectiveness in almost any combat scenario. Enter the ICDI by LWRCI International, a feeble attempt to empower civilians by channeling the M4's battlefield prowess, but comes up terribly short. The ICDI is, like all civilian versions of military firearms, a heavily neutered take on its fully automatic military cousin. Granted, LWRCI has included some proprietary features, like a mono-forged upper receiver and a free float rail, but these upgrades do little to justify its relatively hefty price tag of around $1,800. For most buyers, that's a steep ask when rifles like the Palmetto State Armory PA-15 deliver similar performance for just over a quarter of the cost. The ICDI does have its fans, but even they admit it's more about branding and prestige than practicality. It's a well-made rifle, sure, but in a crowded AR-15 market, it's hard to argue that it offers value for money. Most AR enthusiasts see it as overbuilt and out of their budget range, not a practical option for the average shooter. So why is it on the radar of anti-gun politicians? Simple. It looks too much like its military cousin. Lawmakers have targeted the ICDI in their assault weapons bans, not because of what it can do, but because of what it resembles. Number 2. PTR-91 GI. The Heckler & Koch HK91 is unsurprisingly another semi-auto rifle, though this one's slightly different in that it closely mirrors the design of the renowned G3 battle rifle, which has been a staple in military arsenals worldwide since the 1950s. The G3's claim to fame? Its roller-delayed blowback system and robust construction, which has greatly contributed to its widespread adoption by over 60 countries. Introduced to the civilian market in the 1970s, the HK91 retains many of the G3's features but is limited to semi-automatic fire, adhering to regulations that prohibit civilian ownership of fully automatic firearms. Despite this limitation, the HK91 has gained a reputation for durability and accuracy, appealing to both collectors and shooting enthusiasts. However, the HK91 comes with a substantial price tag, often ranging from $8,000 to $18,000, depending on condition and rarity. This high cost can be attributed to its quality craftsmanship and the historical significance associated with the Heckler & Koch brand. Rifles such as the PTR-91 offer similar aesthetics and functionality at a fraction of the cost. The PTR-91, for instance, is another well-regarded clone of the HK91 G3 design, but it only costs around $1,000 to $1,500. Other options include the Century Arms C308, which also emulates the G3 platform and is available at an even lower price point, though it may not match the build quality of the PTR-91. Despite the HK91's high price tag and limited practical application beyond collection and recreational shooting, it has been targeted in proposed assault weapons bans, all because it is cosmetically a G3. Number 1. Barrett M95. The Barrett M95 is a symbol of extreme precision and raw firepower, a long-range bolt-action rifle chambered in the iconic 50 BMG round, an evolution of the earlier M90 model. The M95 was designed with long-range engagements in mind. Its bullpup configuration ensures a compact design without sacrificing barrel length, making it surprisingly maneuverable for a rifle of its caliber. It's got an effective range of up to 2,000 yards, so it has found its way into the arsenals of military forces worldwide, where it excels in anti-material roles, capable of disabling vehicles, breaching barriers, or neutralizing enemies on the ground from impossible distances. In civilian hands, however, the M95 is an indulgence, not a practical tool. At just shy of 10 grand, this rifle caters to a really tiny niche crowd of long-range shooting enthusiasts and collectors. While its power and precision are undeniable, its weight of over 23 pounds and intense recoil make it, let's just say, less than ideal for most recreational shooters. The high cost of the 50 BMG ammo adds another layer of exclusivity, further limiting its appeal to the average gun owner. Simply put, it's a showpiece, a marvel of engineering meant for the range rather than practical home defense or hunting. Despite its sky-high price and limited use for civilians, the Barrett M95 somehow ends up on every assault weapon ban list and always seems to come up in gun control debates. Politicians claim that 50 BMG rifles are a public safety threat because of their range and power. But let's be honest, these rifles are almost never used in crimes, at least not here in the US. Sure, the cartels in Mexico break out the 50 BMGs when they're squaring off with the military, but we're not in Mexico. So seriously, what's the point of dragging this into the conversation? And there you have it. 8 guns the government is so determined to keep out of our hands, they include them in all the proposed assault weapon ban lists, even when you don't want them. These all have one thing in common. They're all overpriced, severely watered-down versions of their military counterparts. Thinking about picking up one of these? Let us know which one in the comments. Either way, you might want to snag it sooner rather than later. While you're at it, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, hit that subscribe button, and tap the bell icon so you never miss out on what's next. Thanks for tuning in.